You know that feeling you get when you get hit by a 18-wheeler? And that's how every episode of Interview the Vampire and the Vampire Lestat feels. Well, this was about 50 of them. And I loved it. I loved it. I cannot wait to talk about the ending and Claudia, but let's get into the Lestatness of it all. First of all, I just loved seeing them as friends again. I think we all needed that. I think in a weird way that this was kind of a healing episode, aside from, having your guts pulled out by the end. The parallels of Louis and Claudia with Lestat and Gabrielle, I think, have been a theme throughout the entire show, throughout this entire season, and I think they wrapped them both together up really, really well in this episode. When I started it, though, I did kind of feel like I was missing an episode in between episode 5 and 6, because it was kind of weird just to see Lestat and Louis just being friends again when they only just started talking because of the Regina thing, but I didn't see them actually be like, hey, let's hang out again. Again, the biggest issue with this season has been budget cuts. I think there was a plan for maybe 10 episodes, and then it turned to 8, and then it turned to 7, and I can see that there should have been an episode in between this. But it was really cute to see their banter again, and I like that they were able to laugh about these really horrific things, because they are just my ship that's freak for freak, and I just love them to death. I shouldn't have said that. If you know me and you know my channel, you know I love Quinn Blackwood, one of my favorite TVC characters. I didn't realize that this was another one of Lestat's aliases. It's not something I really paid attention to while reading the books. I wasn't paying attention to Lestat's alias names. AMC, please put him in the show, I beg of you, or I will go insane. I really like this idea of the city just full of vampires, and that we're gonna have a practically vampire-only concert. The reason why the concert is such a big deal in the book is because it's the only concert that Lestat puts on, is the one in San Francisco. So I like this idea of it still being a very big deal, because it's practically just going to be 50,000 vampires, which gives a reason why Louis really doesn't want Lestat to go, much like he is in the books. He's like, please, Lestat, do not do this. But I support you anyway because I love you. Also, I love the parallels of season 1 having this last betrayal drink, and they do the same thing with Daniel with Louis and Lestat, which I'm going to talk about Daniel's betrayal later because I have a lot of questions about that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sad about Louis and Gabrielle's relationship. I don't know if this is just me, but did it seem like Louis and Gabriella were kind of, when they were teasing Lestat, it was kind of a hint that this could have been a friendship that would have had a future if not for the crazy incest that was going on. Also, don't hate me, I love brutal love, but I wish it was a little more campy. Like, kind of like what they did with Why Do I Have to Feel, where he starts floating in the air and stuff. I kind of wanted like a rapture thing where they're all of a sudden in New Orleans again. I don't know, just something a little more there. I think it would have been really cool. We get to the scene where Armand and Daniel out Lestat for sleeping with his mother. Lestat having a panic attack and being comforted by Louis rather than him running away or leaving him, I think was a huge healing moment for the both of them. He's literally sick to his stomach thinking about that everybody knows that he has been sleeping with his mother. And then the denial of that, them being unnatural, them being vampires, makes it okay. But then when Louis confronts Lestat and asks, well, did anything happen before then? And Lestat doesn't have a good answer for him. Louis did something that was not about self-assurance to make himself feel better and did something for someone else, while Lestat actually talked about his feelings and didn't keep things in a weird little bundled lie. Also, whoever chose for Lestat to chase Louis with a timeline behind him, it says 1934, 1949, etc., I want to kiss you on the mouth. Amazing, amazing choice. Also, I want everyone to look at this to finally understand Louis. Lestat says, and this is the half-human soul that you conveniently whip out. Love that they included this, because what makes Louis so different from all the other vampires is that he is gifted with basically a human soul. almost like a human dark gift, because all the vampires in the books just talk about it all the time. They're like, he's the most human vampire we've ever met. It's kind of a big deal. It shows that disconnect he has with other vampires, especially those that, you know, commit incest or something like that. Oh my god, this might be the most book accurate scene of the entire show. I could go back and actually like read the passage and see if it was word for word. I'm not gonna do that. I am just gonna go by how it felt watching the scene as if I were reading it for the first time. It was really wild. Anger and frustration, and in the book, it is just Louis who's there. David is the one who's there to support him, but he doesn't really matter. And I love that Lestat is there. I think that was great freaking change. This is the real Claudia, raw and intelligent and cunning and frustrated with the worst men in the world. Look, she does tell Louis, yeah, I just chose the one who was going to help me the most. I just used you. And she does tell him how much she hates him, and it's extremely traumatic for Louis. This is actually what makes Louis go into the sun in the book, so it's a little weird that we went backwards and he already tried to do that. About seeing the real Claudia is that you gotta remember she was made when she was a teenager. She has those emotions forever. That's what makes her so cursed. There's a reason in the book why Armand is also so evil, because he was made at 17. So they can't really do that in the show, but that is the reason why he's so out there. Book, when she was made, she was 5. She didn't know how to be a human, so all she knew was how to be a monster, which is why she was so good at it. Acting is the first time I have cried to this season. It was so heartbreaking hearing her, just everything she's been through and currently going through. It was really hard to watch. I mentioned the thing about her not being able to find Madeline and her being in hell. Why are not many people talking about the whole idea that hell exists in their universe? It could be all be wrapped in a little bow tie, and that Claudia is with Madeline and that she's resting and everything's okay. But if we actually want to keep her in the show, then she could have an arc in Memnoch the Devil. If she is currently in hell, purgatory, whatever, this could definitely segue into that. So I'm really hoping that's why they went that route. As soon as these two started talking about running away together, I went, oh no. I've been here before with many other shows. 2 of my doomed yaoi talking about running away together, that's not gonna end well. I was right. Nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared for it to be Louis and Lestat, because there were, you know, hints that Lestat was going to be decapitated. And I never expected it to be both Armand and Daniel. First of all, did we have an off-screen romance? I really hope this isn't it. Like, no, like, you gotta show us the devil's minion. How was Daniel like, oh, I can walk in the sun, I'm just gonna do whatever you say now? It's like 2 nights? No, I can't see that. I love Devil's Minion, but I see these two as a cute murderous couple. It's Daniel and Armand, but it's not Devil's Minion yet. Speaking of off-screen romances, I have now seen Lestat F his mother 3 times. Louis, Lestat, Armand, and Daniel in this show, and I have not seen any of these people kiss. I don't care. Make it weird and messed up. Usually have theories about what's going to happen in the next episode. I have no freaking idea. It'll be the longest week of my life.